Hello and good afternoon, all. Welcome to the 31st edition of the Water Series webinar on Catch the Rain campaign presented by Ministry of Jal Shakti Government of India National Water Mission and organized by App and News Network. And like earlier 30 editions, today also we have representations from various parts of the country, from various districts of the country. And obviously, we have with us Debashree Mukherjee, Senior IAS Officer, Additional Secretary and Mission Director of National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, will be delivering the keynote address in the beginning of the webinar and also uh, setting the context of the webinar. What is the reason behind organizing this knowledge sharing platform every two Saturday every month for last 1.5 years? We welcome Debashree Mukherjee. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have with us three young officers from various parts of the country. We have with us Shri Mayur Dixit, District Magistrate, Uttarkashi, Uttarakhand. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayur Dixit. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have with us Mr. Divyank Singh, CEO, Zilla Parishad, Khargone, Madhya Pradesh. We welcome Mr. Divyank. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We also have with us Garima Khare, DDO, Gautam Buddha Nagar, Uttar Pradesh. Thank you so much, Garima ji, for joining us today. So, without taking much time, let me hand over the session to Debashree Mukherjee, who will be setting the context of this webinar. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. As I say each time, it's a great pleasure for me to be here with these young officers who are making a great difference in their respective districts. It is also a great thing, this time that we are meeting on the eve of the launch of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. We've just 22nd was the World Water Day. And on the 29th, we are going to launch the third edition of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. So this, as a starter in this discussion, I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. The Jal Shakti Abhiyan, we all know, was started in 2019. The idea was that we need a kind of national call to action, getting everybody, all stakeholders, civil society organizations, media, communities involved in one, conserving water, and second, recharging our groundwater. We all know what the water situation is today. We know that in certain districts where you have dark blocks, you can't set up industries. So water is directly affecting livelihoods and growth. Therefore, the need was that everybody needs to get involved in water management and water conservation. So in 2019, the first Jal Shakti Abhiyan was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister. It was his idea, with in 256 water scarce districts, water stressed districts. There was a lot of enthusiasm among states. Some states extended it to all their districts. So therefore, learning from that, the next year, we decided that this would be an all India program, because water management is an issue that affects every area of the country, whether it is lack of water, whether it is too much water, whether it is lack of water at one time of the year and too much water at another time of the year in the same area. So putting water management at the heart of our development process, I think, is the spirit of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. The second is that we've always celebrated the rains in our country. If all of us know about Kalidas's Meghadutam, and I trained in Madhya Pradesh, so I could see how the rains transformed the landscape, and it made sense that Kalidas was also from Madhya Pradesh. Uh, so, um, so we've always celebrated the rains. So now this is a public program which is about preparing for the rains. So before the rains come, are our rainwater harvesting structures ready? Are the existing structures cleaned and repaired? Have we got our nurseries in place? Do we have a plan in terms of how much rainwater can we collect? So this is what the program is about. This year again, from the 29th, we are launching the program and we are going to go forward with the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. This year there is a special, and since we have somebody from Uttarakhand here, this year there we are putting a special focus on springs and spring shed management, and we are requesting district authorities and people who in districts which have springs to to actually identify your springs, map the spring catchment, and see what needs to be done to manage the spring shed better. So this is a special area of focus this year. Having said that, I will come to the fact, the importance of these discussions. These discussions where you this interaction with officers who are actually implementing programs in the field helps us to one, the contours of the program are similar, but people are doing things so differently, and we learn from each other. We understand issues that we need to address. Last time I remember a certain young officer flagged certain issues that the National Water Mission is now working for. So these interactions are of great value, not just for you to be able to showcase your work, but also for the National Water Mission and people who are listening to you to learn from you. This water management, and the Prime Minister always says that water has to be everybody's business if we have to build a water secure India. And these discussions are a part of that, making water everybody's business. Thank you. And I think I'm ready to listen to my young colleagues now.
Okay. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, Debashree Mukherjee, for sharing your thoughts with us. And as you've said that National Water Mission, Mr. Jal Shakti, is almost on the verge of launching the third edition of Jal Shakti Abhiyan. And that is why this kind of brainstorming sessions and knowledge sharing platform is so important to build that kind of blueprint for the future. And as you have said, quoting Honorable Prime Minister, that water has to be everybody's business. And if we have to make it everybody's business, then district authorities have to come forward for people's participation to make it a success. So without taking much time and taking you from what Debashree Mukherjee madam has said, let us put our focus in the Uttarakhand of India, beautiful Uttarakhand, as we say, that the hilly region, rivers are there. As ma'am was saying, that focus will be on springs, conservation of springs as well. We have with us Mr. Mayur Dixit, IS officer. He is the district magistrate of Uttarkashi, Uttarakhand. Welcome, Mayurji. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if I'm not wrong, in his earlier stint when he was in Almora and also in Udham Singh Nagar, there also a lot of work has been done in terms of water conservation. I think he can also touch base upon that. But here is again doing something great, as Madam was saying, that in each and every district, in every part of India, a lot of things have been done differently, a lot of innovation being done. So let's hear from him. Over to you, Mayur Dixit.
Thank you, Shovik. Uh, Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon, dear colleagues, and everyone who is listening to this webinar. Ma'am, water conservation has been a passion for me, and I have been interested in uh, doing conservation of water through whatever means and resources which we are at the disposal of district authorities, whether from rural development schemes or forest schemes. And we have tried to present a model which is replicable and also scientific of how to conserve water and how to rejuvenate water bodies. It is a basically set template which anybody can replicate at any place. And for that, I have just made this one slide to explain how we are conserving water, because in Uttarakhand and in the district which I am currently posted in Uttarkashi, Uttarkashi is one of the most important district because it is the origin district of both Ganga and Yamuna. So, and apart from Ganga and Yamuna, because of there are several other small rivers also which are passing through the district, like Tons and other rivers. And 87% of the district area is covered by forest. So, conserving water is even more challenging and more important for us because this district is responsible for so much water which finally goes down to other districts like Tehri, Haridwar, and then so on to UP other places. So we have a challenge that we need to preserve water, and also ensure that whatever rain which is falling here, the rainfall is average of what India receives. But due to steep slopes and high mountainous regions, as you said, the rainwater quickly slopes down to other places, and in most part of the year we have dry season basically. Although the rain is there, empty rain is there. So for that we try to do two things. In our district, there are water bodies are of two types basically. First is there are rivers basically. There are rivulets, streams, and then rivers. And then secondly, there are high altitude wetlands also, which are basically sponges type of areas which absorb rainwater, which we call in local language bugyals. So these are bugyals or high alpine meadows which are located in altitude above 3000 meters. And there their water falls, and it finally goes to the mountainous water table and comes out on the downstream in forms of streams and other shapes and sizes, and finally merges into the river. So this is just an example of a river which we took, Indravati River. Indravati River is a tributary of River Ganga. It is around 14 kilometers long, and it is a non-glacial river. Basically, the origin is from for the river rainwater sources, and streams finally culminates into this river. But this river has seen a steep depletion in its water level. It is mostly dry in 9 to 10 months of the year. It gets water only when there are monsoons. Although people say that around 25 to 30 years back, this river used to flow perennially throughout the year. So what we did is we did a complete GIS study of this river and its watershed areas. As you can see, we divided this river and its shed areas into 8 parts. For example, there is Hatal Khal, Kakarari, and so on, which are written here in black font. And we divided into which all areas are there. So for example, green is forest area, yellow is agricultural land, which is revenue land, and dark brown is barren land, which is either forest or in revenue areas. And we try to map all the first, second, and third level streams, which are shown as light lines, which you can see in the map. And we are trying to work on each of these streams. For example, first order stream, we are trying to make small check dams. In second order streams, we are making larger check dams and also some ponds to catch the rainwater finally, so it accumulates at the higher level itself and seeps down to the water table, which increases the water table and makes the river perennial. And on the third stream level, we are making bigger check dams, which can hold larger amount of waters. We are making percolation tanks, percolation holes, and so on. So these types of activities we are doing, and each of these activities geotagged. So if you can see the black shapes and the table associated with it shows at that particular site how many infiltration trenches have been built, how many tanks have been built, and what is the capacity and how much area they occupy. So whatever work is done, because in these areas, in forest areas, it is very tough to monitor the works also which we are doing. So even if forest department reports to us that they have made 1000 trenches, we are not sure whether they have been built or not, whether they have been built at the right place also or not, or whether they've been built of the right sizes or not. So we are focusing on monitoring also of these works. And unless we get a complete photograph of that place with geo coordinate, we don't accept whether the work is done or not. So these works we bring it to our GIS cell, which we have set up under the Catch the Rain Abhiyan, which we received funds from the government of India also. And we have set up a complete cell in which every week we receive report from revenue authorities, rural development authorities, and forest authorities, and we map the works which is done. And then we also are planning to measure the flow of the river in the lean season, which is generally May and just before the monsoon, that whether we are seeing any increase in the water table, or it is, or the depletion, the rate of depletion has reduced or not, so that we can see what is the impact of that. Secondly, we also found that in the previous of my district postings in Almora and Udhamsi Nagar, I have seen that unless we connect livelihood with conservation, conservation is not sustainable. So we are trying to involve villagers also here. For example, various activities which we have planned here, we are trying to link livelihood opportunities with that. For example, nurseries we are making here for the plantation season. We are preparing in July and August, and we have tried to link our SHGs and Manrega activities with that, so that people earn some money with that also, and they have some interest developed with that. We have given fisheries an option for all the water tanks which we are making. we are trying to we have developed one of the village here as honey village, and trying to grow some flower and crops which have flowering in that season, so that honeybee collection and honeybee can be taken as an occupation. And this whole area is basically organic cultivation. In fact, in hills, most of the agriculture is organic agriculture. So we are trying to promote organic agriculture in these areas, because if water conservation is done properly, then we have more water. Then we are trying to make more canals also, more for irrigation purposes. And we are now shifting to more solar irrigation pumps to conserve water, because in traditionally in hills, most of the canals are open canals which get damaged during landslides or cloud bursts. So we are trying to shift from traditional irrigation practices to more of scientific and environmental friendly agriculture practice also, because conserving water is as important as collecting water. So all these activities are going in tandem, and since this is a long process, results cannot be seen in 1 year or 2 year, but we are trying to make it in a system and ingrain in the people which are in these 8 or 9 villages which are shown here, that water conservation is very important. And from my learnings before in conserving Kosi River in Almora and rejuvenating ponds, we are trying to connect livelihood also with the conservation activities, so that people take interest in these activities. So this is what I wanted to show in this limited time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayur Dixit, for sharing with us kind of work being done in the district in terms of river rejuvenation. And also, you talked about how the experience in the district of Almora and Udham Nagar has also helped you in achieving this goal. And I'm sure Debashree Madam will be interacting with you more off the line of this webinar as well. Thank you so much, Mayur Dixit ji, for joining us today. So now from Uttarakhand, let's shift our focus to the state of Madhya Pradesh. We have with us Divyank Singh, CEO, Zilla Parishad Khargone. We welcome Divyank ji. Over to you for your presentation. Divyank ji, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, a very good evening to Mukherjee ma'am, to Mayur sir, Garima ma'am, Shauvik ji, and all those who are listening to this webinar. Thank you for calling me. I'll just share my presentation. Should I? Yeah, go ahead. Next, please. So, my basic view about water conservation will be, because n number of schemes are already present, and this is our first tenure as CEO of the Panchayat here. So earlier we were posted as SDM, so we did some very little work about water conservation in our previous tenure. But in this tenure, we got a chance to actually work on field with all the rural staff and people for water conservation. There are n number of schemes that are already running, in which there is Catch the Rain, renovation of old structure, Keynote, which is basically we are renovating all the structures which are already being made. And then there is Jal Abhiyan mission, which is going on here. I would like to say something about Jal Abhiyan mission also. As you know, Nal Jal mission is going on, in which we are providing water to each and every household. But the problem with that system is that the source of that water is always drained out, or it dies out with time. So we have n number of pipelines and a huge investment made in our village, but the source always dries out. So to rejuvenate the source is our basic priority here. I don't know about other states, but in our state this is a very big issue, and we have been told to do something about it. Then comes Mukherjee Jal Jeevan Mission, where the theme is same, where we are building a water rejuvenating structure near the sources, which will provide water to the Nal Jal. And obviously, we have integrated watershed management programs, which are a huge success here in our district. A lot of structures have been made and a lot of good work has been done. I'll show something of some work that we have done in our district regarding all these schemes. It won't take much of time. But then I'll come to Swachh Bharat Mission, which is a very latent kind of entry to this water conservation scenario, because there is some kind of problem with each and every scheme that I have told. Like for example, if we go to all the renovation of old structures, we have to have Manrega guidelines to be followed. Like it's very difficult to get people or laborers all the time in Manrega, and we have to maintain 60-40 ratio of material and labor. So it becomes very difficult for us to actually maintain that 60-40 ratio and to actually do or make bigger structures. So bigger infrastructural water conserving structures cannot be made through Manrega as per my understanding. We can make it, but then we have to manage it in 60-40 ratio. Plus in Manrega, we have other issues also. We have to take care of other big infrastructure projects like roads also in it, approach road or Khet Sadak also in it. So it's always on the end of higher side of material ratio. So material is always more and labor is always less. So it's very difficult for us to maintain that labor and material ratio. And when we are talking about long-term structures like check dam and stop dams, it becomes very difficult. Next, please. So these are all the structures that we have made. I'll give you an example of the picture that you are seeing at the top. This was a barren land. We made a lot of contour trenches in it, and water table of this area actually rose up quite a bit after this. So this was a successful thing that we did. We did this from Manrega contour trenches. And the second part is stop dam and check dam. They are permanent structure, 14 to 15 lakh per structure. We made it through integrated watershed management program. Next, please. So similarly, I'll come to my SPM part later on. I just want to give you an idea how much work we have done in conserving water with respect to older schemes that we had. So at top you are seeing a kind of a whole plateau kind of thing, of which we have done pani ki kheti. We have done a lot of contour trenches in it, and it says that 1 crore liter of water will be conserved or will be accumulated into these trenches and will be percolated. Next. Next, please. This is a work of our rejuvenation of old water structures. So whatever water structures were already there, Bawdis or Purane structures, we renovated them and made them useful and functional again. And then we have multiple afforestation programs also. Next. So now I'm coming back to the question that I posed earlier, that is it okay, is it enough for us to focus upon conserving or making water rejuvenating structures, or what, or as we say in Catch the Rain, where it falls, or do we have to focus, or we have some area other than water recharging where we can focus? So there is a relation between fresh water and grey water. They are highly interdependent, and because in Swachh Bharat Mission, especially in the liquid section or liquid wastewater management, we have quite a bit of freedom of usage of money, and we don't have that 60-40% of criteria that we need to be fulfilled in Manrega. So we focus how we can actually utilize this opportunity of managing grey water into conserving water, and how this grey water conservation can help in rejuvenation of groundwater when we are talking about valley area of Nambi. Next, please. So yeah. So we just this is just a rough calculation. It's not an accurate calculation of what we have seen. I just wanted to show you the quantum of water that we are dealing with, the quantum of grey water that we are dealing with. So if we take 100 liters of water that is being used by a single household, 80 liters will be grey on an average. And if we say that around 1,000 people are living in, and 5 people are living in a household, and 1,000 people are living in a village, then it amounts to 44,000 of 44,000 liters of grey water in a single village. Next. This is the map of Khargone. We have 10 developmental blocks here, and with blue at the top I have marked Namda River. So there are around 200 villages which are near or adjacent to Namda River. It's a very highly dense area. And if we calculate for 44,000 liters per day per village, and then we have 200 villages, just in this belt, we are talking about 88 lakh liters of water per day of grey water. I'm not talking about black water here, I'm not talking about sewage water here, I'm just talking about grey water. So it's a very huge amount. So I want to connect this to the slide that I've shown you. For 4 hectares of contour trenching, for whole rainy season, we are actually conserving 1 crore liters of water. But here we are dealing with 88 lakh liters of grey water every day. So what will happen to this grey water? Either it will seep down the earth. That's also dangerous because it's not being treated, or either it will go and mix up with the water stream that are already there. That's also very dangerous. It will spoil the fresh water that is already there. So in both the cases, we have to manage it in a good way, and 88 lakh liters of water per day only for these villages is a very big amount if we can actually conserve it and actually reach and help it recharge also the groundwater. Next. So this is what I actually told, that we need to manage grey water also, and we can actually see this problem as an opportunity to recharge groundwater also, and how we have done it we will show you later on. Next, please. So we already know that grey water has 3 components. I won't dwell into it much. Reduce, reuse, and recharge. Reduce, it's a long-term process because it includes behavioral change. Reuse, it's also a long-term process. It includes behavioral change. But recharge is what we can do right now, and we are already doing it in multiple schemes. So why not to do it in Swachh Bharat Mission also? Next. So we have 3 sections of grey water management. First is at individual level, second is at semi-community level, and third is at community level. So what we have done, we have taken these villages which are near Namda, and they were discharging whole of their water into the Namda, and then polluting the Namda also, and they were not able to recharge that water body also. So we focused upon decentralized manner also, where we have given them individual soak pit and leach pit. Next, please. So we have different soak pits and community leach pits which are functional there. So from catch it where it falls, we are now moving in SPM, catch it where it flows. So wherever the grey water is flowing, we are just catching it, trapping it, and recharging the groundwater after treatment. So if there is a kind of small household or 3 or 4 households nearby, we are giving them a particular soak pit or community leach pit. Next, please. And these are the kind of structures that we are making. This is a hand pump structure and bathing platforms. So all the water from this earlier used to flow or directly contaminate the area, but now we are channeling it down to a community soak pit there, which has multiple layers of filters inbuilt already inside it, different size of boulders and sand and different filters. So whatever water is going through now is going through that filter and recharging the groundwater there. Next. These are again same kind of structure. In first photo you can see the Namda River, and this was an open drain which was directly draining inside Namda. But now we have made sure that we have a settling tank and then a community soak pit. Community soak pit also filters the water and allows the water to seep inside. Next, please. So this was a condition before, and this is a condition afterwards. So it has visibly improved the swachhata of the place, as well as also contributing towards the recharging of groundwater that is there. Next. These are all the different structures that we have made in different parts of our district. Next. Next. So again, when we talk about stabilization pond and a bigger structure, Swachh Bharat Mission gave us this opportunity to make bigger structure and stabilizing pond. So we are making a chain of stabilizing pond near the bed of river or near the Namda Valley area. And it has proved to be a very acceptable initiative from the side of people also. They are also very happy and coming up and in a community manner to contribute it. Next, please. So this was the river, and we selected different site for WSP water stagnation ponds along the river Nanda, and we are making around 100 of them now. Next, please. Next. So this is a structure that we are making. I just will make a passing reference about the structure because it was something new for me, and I just wanted to share it if it will be useful for others also. So we have three different structures that are there. First is a in-depth structure which promotes anaerobic respiration and anaerobic decomposition because because of its depth, sunlight and oxygen won't be reaching, and it will promote anaerobic decomposition. Next two are very shallow, and they will allow decomposition through sunlight or formation of algae. And later on, we can use this water either to recharge our structures or towards those structures which are already present through IWMP or catch the rain. Next. This is a DWAT structure which has multiple sections of baffles. First, the water will go inside. It will settle down in multiple sections, and then we can move this water through a gravel filter or plantation gravel filter, which will allow more of the seepage down. And we can later on release that water into the stream also, or into the recharge pit of groundwater. Next. Next, please. So this is the WSP I was talking about. The first is a longer structure in which the water will stay, and then there are two different structures. And later on, we are using this clear and clarified water to be soaked inside the earth towards this water rejuvenation structures. Next. So this is a close-up of that structure. Next, please. So initially, we made these structures, and then the structures were falling apart because no one was taking care of these structures. Later on, we handed over these structures to SHGs, which are present here. These SHGs started using duckweeds, and they produce duckweeds in this pond, and they are using this duckweed as the cattle feed also. And some of them have started using these bigger ponds because dimension is relatively large, 10 meter by 9 meter, 10 meter by 10 meter. So they use it for fisheries also. Some specific kinds of fishes which are used here. The SHGs are also making use of this opportunity to do fishing, to generate duckweed, and the money that are generating through it, they are using it to maintain the structure. So this is how we are allowing community also to be a part of that mission of water conservation and water recharging. Next. So these are all the structures that we have made. Next. Earlier, we identified a site, and then we have started making it. It has taken a very big momentum here in the district, and in lot many areas we are making it. We are getting demands also for these structures now in our district. Next. These are the SHG groups that we have at different levels. We are including SHGs in our water conservation plan. Next. Next, please. So all different sections of society we are involving into water conservation, and at the same time we are focusing upon solid waste management also, because later on we understood that only focusing on liquid waste management won't help, because they both are interrelated. So we have to focus on both of them. Next, please. So as I told you about community participation and participation of self-help groups, self-help groups are also participating in solid waste management maintenance, liquid wastewater management maintenance, as well as recharge of water. So in all these three interconnected spheres, women SHG groups are coming up in a big way. They are taking care of structures which are for water waste management. They are taking care of the structures which are for solid waste water management structures, and money that they are earning from these two places, they are putting up in water recharge structures also. So we are encouraging them to be a part of this whole water conservation and water recycling structure, and it is coming up to be in a very big manner. A lot of SHGs are here; they are very interested in it. They are signing up MOUs with the ground panchayats for maintaining water structures and water recharge structures also. So whatever water conservation and recharge structures that we have already had in our villages, for their maintenance or for their usage, now SHG groups are coming up. We have Swachhata Kar in our villages. These Swachhata Kar and Water Kar is being collected by these MOUs, through these MOUs by these SHG workers, and these SHG women are then maintaining these water structures in return. Next. So these are all SHG groups which are running these motorized waste collection units, and they are earning money through it. They are charging people. They are collecting Swachhata Kar and water tax, and then using it for water rejuvenation. Next. So this is it from my side. It was my little effort to show that apart from conventional water management, there are other fields also in water management. And if we take help of communities, especially the SHGs through NRLM or SRLM, then they are very excited about it, and they actually involve whole community into it. Earlier we had an issue that there are multiple water conservation structures also made, and nobody was taking care of it, nobody was maintaining it, because we had fund which is one time we make it and then forget it. But it anytime needs maintenance, so we have to involve community into it. And once women of the community has been involved, people actually showed up in paying up Swachhata Kar and Water Kar. Earlier, they used to blatantly say no to Sarpanch and Sachin to pay money. But since the time when we have involved them in taxation and tax collection, especially with respect to water, people they were actually able to increase the tax collection in a particular village for up to 5 to 6 times. So earlier we used to collect only 10,000 or 5,000 rupees in water taxes. But now, since the SHG is involved, there, person who is present on ground has to face that lady day and night. And some of the family members are also part of this SHG group, so they don't say no to them, and they give or they actually pay taxes. So this is how the taxation and water conservation work is going hand in hand along with wastewater management. So thank you for patiently listening to me and giving me this chance.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Divyank Singh, CEO, Zilla Parishad Khargone MP. You have not only ensured the community participation, women participation, SHG groups for the overall development of the water ecosystem, but also, as you have said in the beginning, when the initial slide you said, you have not only ensured Kasdarin when it falls, as it falls, but where it falls also. The flowing of, you're following it to the rainwater where it flows and making a difference. Thank you so much, Divyank Singh. That's kind of innovation what Debashree Madam was saying in our inaugural speech as well. Innovation we have seen in the Uttarakhand, in the Madhya Pradesh. Now see what kind of innovation being done in terms of water management in Gautam Buddha Nagar. Over to you, Garima Khare, District Development Officer of Gautam Buddha Nagar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Debashree ma'am. Thank you, Savik sir, Divyank sir. जैसा कि हम सभी लोग जानते हैं कि गौतम बुद्ध नगर, जो कि वाइडली नोन एज नोएडा, एक बहुत तेज़ी से अर्बनाइजेशन की ओर बढ़ता हुआ डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, और बीइंग राष्ट्रीय राजधानी क्षेत्र का हिस्सा होने के कारण भी यहाँ पर पिछले 10 सालों में भू उपयोग में और जनसांख्यिकी संरचना में बहुत सारे बदलाव आए हैं। एक और जहाँ यहाँ पर ग्रामीण क्षेत्र कम होता चला जा रहा है, यहाँ सिर्फ अब 88 ग्राम पंचायतें ही रह गई हैं, बाकी सारा क्षेत्र शहरी उस पर चला गया है। कृषि योग्य ज़मीन भी ख़त्म हो रही है, खाली ज़मीन भी नहीं मिल रही है, लेकिन इसके साथ ही साथ औद्योगिक और आवासीय निर्माण बढ़ रहे हैं और जनसंख्या का घनत्व बहुत तेजी से बढ़ रहा है। पिछले 10 सालों में यहाँ पर 51% की वृद्धि जनसंख्या में हुई है। जैसे जैसे जनसंख्या बढ़ रही है उसी के साथ ही साथ यहाँ पर जो हमारे प्राकृतिक संसाधन हैं उनके अति दोहन की समस्या भी बहुत बड़ी है। विशेष करके ग्राउंड वाटर का जो है बहुत तेजी से दोहन हुआ है। पिछले 5 सालों में ही हमारे एरिया में विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में 0.5 से लेकर के 7 मीटर तक ग्राउंड वाटर डाउन हुआ है, नीचे गया हुआ है। और एक हमारे पास स्लाइड है जिसमें ये एक डेटा है कि वो डिफरेंट एरियाज में इस समय वर्तमान में क्या स्थिति है, और एक स्लाइड है जो एक कंपैरेटिव स्टडी बताती है कि पिछले 5 सालों में कैसे ग्राउंड वाटर लेवल डाउन हुआ है। नेक्स्ट यस, ये तो हम इसमें देखें तो ऑन एन एवरेज 3 मीटर का डाउन फॉल हुआ है ग्राउंड वाटर में। इन्हीं सारी प्रॉब्लम्स को देखते हुए और जैसे जैसे जनसंख्या बढ़ रही है तो जल की डिमांड बढ़ रही है, लेकिन हमारे पास सोर्सेस कम हो रहे हैं। चूंकि गौतम बुद्ध नगर में भी एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि बढ़ते हुए शहरीकरण के कारण यहाँ पर मनरेगा योजना से हम लोग बहुत कुछ काम नहीं करा पाते हैं, क्योंकि ना तो हमारे पास श्रमिक उपलब्ध होते हैं और ना ही हमें उस तरह से फोकस एरियाज मिलते हैं जहाँ पर हम काम करा सकें। तो हम लोग यहाँ पर जो फोकस रहा है कैच द रेन में, वो छोटे छोटे से ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर्स जहाँ से भी हमको पॉसिबिलिटी हुई है वो हम लोगों ने कराने की कोशिश की है, जिसमें रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग सिस्टम्स हैं, पारंपरिक जल स्रोतों के पुनरुद्धार का काम है, रिचार्जिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं और प्लांटेशन। बेसिकली ब्रॉड एस्पेक्ट में ये काम हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारे हुए हैं। नेक्स्ट, हाँ नेक्स्ट, ये जो हमारे फोकस एरिया हैं जिस पर हम लोगों ने काम किया है, वाटर कंजर्वेशन एंड रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग, रिनोवेशन ऑफ ट्रेडिशनल एंड अदर वाटर बॉडीज, रीयूज ऑफ वाटर एंड रिचार्ज ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड इंटेंसिव फॉरेस्टेशन। जैसा कि मैंने बताया कि इन एरियाज में हम लोगों ने काम किया है। नेक्स्ट, हमारे यहाँ वाटर कंजर्वेशन रेन हार्वेस्टिंग सिस्टम में 354 ये स्ट्रक्चर्स यहाँ पर डेवलप किए गए हैं डिफरेंट ऑफिसेज में, डिफरेंट बिल्डिंग्स में। नेक्स्ट, हाँ, मास प्लांटेशन हुआ है और उसके बाद हमारे यहाँ जो तालाब अवेलेबल हो पाए काम करने के लिए, उस पर हम लोगों ने 23 तालाबों का चयन यहाँ किया था और उसमें से 14 पर अभी हम लोग काम पूरा कर चुके हैं। नेक्स्ट, एक यहाँ पर जो खास हम लोगों ने फोकस जिस पर किया है वो सोकपिट्स हैं, क्योंकि गांवों में जो हैंडपंप्स हैं और जहाँ पर भी उसके आसपास के एरिया के जो पानी वेस्ट होता है उसको हम लोगों ने करने के लिए सोकपिट्स काफ़ी ह्यूज मात्रा में बनवाए हैं। इसके साथ ही एक जो नया तरीके का काम हुआ है वो जो नॉन फंक्शनल हैंडपम्प्स और बोरिंग्स थे उनको हम लोगों ने रूफ रेन ड्रॉप वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग से कनेक्ट करके उस पानी को नीचे रिचार्ज के लिए यूज़ करने की कोशिश की है। और हम लोगों ने यहाँ पर अपने अभी तक 45 इस तरह से इनएक्टिव बोर्स को इस तरह से यूज़ किया रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग में। कुछ हमारे पास इन सारे कामों के फोटोग्राफ्स हैं। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। मैं ये भी बताना चाहूँगी कि इसमें जो कुछ हम लोगों ने वो किया है, एक जल शक्ति केंद्र बना रखा है जहाँ पर आम पब्लिक को और सभी को जो भी कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है वाटर रिलेटेड वो यहाँ पर हम लोगों को इन्फॉर्म करते हैं और उसको हम लोग यहाँ से समाधान कराने की कोशिश करते हैं। इसी के साथ पब्लिक अवेयरनेस कैंपेन्स चलाए गए हैं। ये एक बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर हम लोग देखते हैं कि कई बार जो मेजरमेंट्स हम लोग करते हैं या उपाय करते हैं वो सिक्योर नहीं रह पाते हैं। जैसे फॉरेस्टेशन की बात हुई, प्लांटेशन की बात हुई, तो वो सेफ नहीं रह पाता है, वो होने लगते हैं। तो इसलिए स्कूल के बच्चों को और आम जनता को हम लोगों ने उसका एक आम जन सहभागिता के लिए बहुत सारे प्रयास किए हैं, जिसमें उनके एक काउंसलिंग सेशंस होते हैं, स्कूल के बच्चों के साथ अवेयरनेस कैंपेन्स होते हैं। ये सारी चीज़ें की जा रही हैं। इसके साथ साथ हमारे यहाँ पर जो कॉरपोरेट सेक्टर है उसका भी बहुत अच्छा योगदान हमें मिला है। HCL ने, NTPC ने यहाँ पर अडॉप्ट किए हैं पॉन्ड्स और उन पर काम कराया है, प्लांटेशन में बहुत काम कराया है। कुछ स्लाइड्स नेक्स्ट प्लीज। नेक्स्ट सर, ये कुछ हमारे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, फोटोग्राफ्स हैं। नेक्स्ट, ये दादरी में है, ये रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं जो बनाए गए हैं स्कूल्स में और बिल्डिंग्स में। नेक्स्ट, थोड़ा स्पीडली आप दिखा दें प्लीज। या जी जी जी। ये तालाबों पर जो काम हमारे हुए हैं जनपद गौतम बुद्ध नगर में, ये HCL के कोऑपरेशन से काम हुआ है। ये सारे नॉन फंक्शनल बोर्स हैं जिनको हम लोगों ने कनेक्ट किया है टॉप रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग से। और फॉरेस्टेशन पर भी बहुत काम हुआ है यहाँ पर। लगभग 10 लाख के आस प्लांट्स जो है वो लगाए गए हैं और वो काफ़ी अच्छी स्थिति में है, जैसा कि आप अभी देख पाएंगे। ये NHI के सहयोग से किया गया है। तो जैसे कि मैंने बताया कि इस तरह से हम लोगों ने छोटे छोटे एरियाज में जहाँ भी हमको स्कोप मिला है काम करने की कोशिश की है। इसके साथ ही साथ जो जल संवर्धन के उपायों के साथ जल के न्यूनतम उपयोग, आवश्यक उपयोग की भी आदत को जो है डेवलप किए जाने की एक ज़रूरत महसूस की जा रही है। तो अभी हाल ही में जब हमने जैसे कि अभी किया कि 22 मार्च को विश्व जल दिवस हुआ था, उसमें हमारे कमिश्नर मेरठ मंडल है, उनके अध्यक्षता में एक गोष्ठी हुई थी। हम लोगों ने वहाँ पर इस पर फोकस किया है कि इस तरह के मेजरमेंट्स अब लिए जाएं जिससे कि जो अवेलेबल पानी है उसको हम कम से कम यूज़ कर सकें। तो इसमें कुछ जैसे हर ग्राम पंचायत में जल सुरक्षा प्लान बनाया जाना, जल उपयोग पर टैक्स का अभी प्रोविजन ज़रूर है पर वो बहुत अच्छी तरह से इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, तो उसको प्रॉपरली इम्प्लीमेंट कराया जाना। और कुछ ये भी एक बात उभर करके आई थी कि अगर अनावश्यक दोहन होता है तो उसमें कुछ दंडात्मक प्रोविजन भी किए जाए ताकि लोगों को, क्योंकि यहाँ पर सबमर्सिबल के माध्यम से बहुत ज़्यादा पानी को वेस्ट किए जाने की प्रवृत्ति है गांवों में। तो हम लोग जब पंचायतें करते हैं, पानी पंचायतें करते हैं, तो उसमें इन सब के ऊपर फोकस करते हैं कि ये ना किए जाएं, लेकिन इसमें थोड़ा सा कुछ और भी उसके आगे काम करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं हम लोग। और मैं जानती हूँ कि समझती हूँ कि इन सारे रीज़न से और प्रयासों से हम लोग और आगे भी इसमें काम कर पाएंगे। आप लोगों के प्रेजेंटेशन से भी मुझे बहुत सही इंसाइट मिली है। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much, Garima Khare, District Development Officer of Gautam Buddha Nagar, for sharing with us kind of initiative being undertaken in the district in terms of gathering and also water management. With this, I'll request Debashree Mukherjee to give her closing remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
So thank you very much, Mayur, Divyank, Garima, all three of you. Very interesting presentations. और जैसे मैंने शुरुआत में कहा था कि आप तीनों ने अलग अलग पहलू के बारे में बात किया, और यही ज़रूरी है कि हम पानी को किस तरह से, मतलब हमारे जिले में क्या दिक्कतें हैं और हम अपने तक कर सकते हैं, और शायद दूसरों से भी देख सीख के किस तरह से कर सकते हैं। मयूर, आपके से मेरा टेक अवे ये है, आई थिंक द मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग दैट आई फाउंड वाज द यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी। आप बड़े साइंटिफिक तरीके से पूरे प्रॉब्लम को अप्रोच कर रहे हो। यू आर लुकिंग एट वेरियस लेवल्स ऑफ स्ट्रीम्स जॉइनिंग द रिवर एंड व्हाट नीड्स टू बी डन एट ईच ऑफ दोज लेवल्स। आपके लिए मेरा एक ही सजेशन है, which is, and I keep saying this in every session to all my young colleagues, we will do some part of it under the National Water Mission, but individually also, please document. Get a local university or an education institution that comes and documents the process, yeah, and does a before and after, so that even when you people move on, there is a record that people can learn from and take forward. So I think for all of us, this documentation is very, very important. Divyank, again, very, very interesting. And so when you say grey water, you're basically talking about kitchen waste. Is that correct? So water coming out of the kitchen.
Ma'am, it's grey water. It's coming out of kitchen also. It's coming out from bathing
The bathrooms.
Bathrooms also, yes. But it doesn't include, ma'am, black water. Sewage water.
Right.
Sewage water is
So
not.
in a lot of households, the disposal system is the same. So,
Yes, ma'am.
so you need to be a little careful about, where the disposal system is separated and where the disposal system is the same. And and part of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan's objectives is that, it's not just about catching the rain. It's about water conservation. It's about water recharge. It is about water recycling. The only thing is that this is mission mode prior to the rains, because it is to remind us that the rains are coming and we need to be ready, right? The other thing that you said that I found very interesting, and I think this is important for all of us, is about involving the community, particularly through the through the self-help groups and all of that. So there was something else that somebody from Orissa had said. In fact, the principal secretary from Orissa was saying, they were saying that as a part of the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, each department is involving its own set of major stakeholders. For instance, municipal administration is involving the slum organizations. The rural development is involving the self-help groups. So since you people as district administration are actually coordinating various departments, it's a good idea. For instance, if you have farmer producer groups, you have self-help groups, let's involve all of them as a part of the water conservation and recharge effort. So that's, I think, from your this thing, that's another major takeaway. Garima, so again, your context is very different, क्योंकि आप शहरी इलाके में हो, आप एमजी नरेगा के ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकती, और आपने ये कहा कि और आपने बखूबी ये बात कही कि किस तरह से आप सीएसआर के इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो, जहां पर आप लोगों ने एमजी नरेगा के रिसोर्सेज नहीं एक्सेस कर पाते हो, और यही दिस इज द इनोवेशन. और इस बार हम सीआई और फिकी दोनों के साथ बैठने वाले हैं, उनको ये अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स को एनकरेज करने के लिए कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज वो वाटर कंजर्वेशन और रिचार्ज में दें. दूसरे, अगर आप अमृत के रिसोर्सेज इस्तेमाल कर सकती हो क्या? क्योंकि अमृत 2 में there is a lot of scope for renovation and rehabilitation of water bodies. तो वो देख लीजिए एक बार. और तीसरी बात जो मैं बस अर्बन एरियाज में कहना चाहती हूँ, वो ये है कि थोड़ा सा अर्बन एरियाज में ये जरूरी है कि इस वक्त मतलब इनलेट्स का रिव्यू कर, मतलब जो आपके वाटर बॉडी है उनके इनलेट्स एनक्रोच हो गए हैं क्या, वहां से पानी एटॉल जा रहा है कि नहीं. तो ये, और आपके जो रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं वो ठीक है कि नहीं है. उस तरह का एक आप लोग अगर मिशन कर ले, इंस्पेक्ट कर ले. एक बार दिल्ली जल बोर्ड में मैं थी तो हमने करीब 60-70 रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स का इंस्पेक्शन कराया. करीब 45% उनके खराब पड़े थे. तो ये एक बार देख लीजिएगा. Thank you very much to all of you. All the very best. And let us move forward to make a water secure India. Thank you so much, Shobik ji.
Thank you so much, Debashree Mukherjee, Mayur, Dixit, Divyank Singh, and Garima Khare for joining us today for the 31st edition of this weekly webinar series, Dialogue with District Administrators, for making the Kazrain campaign a success. And as ma'am said, that we all should work together to make water management a success, so that we can secure water for next generation. And if I take a crux of what ma'am has said and what the presentation have been today, that innovation and community participation with proper planning, if these three things are there in place, no one can stop us from effective water management. Thank you so much. Do join us for the 32nd edition of this weekly webinar series next Saturday. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.